So when I first started out, this right here is my very first workshop, right? And you could tell it was a very warm workshop. You could see that this gentleman right here has some armpit sweat. We were in a small room at Waves Coffee in downtown, and the projector would get so hot in that room that it would really get hot. We had to open up the doors. Anyone here at one of those? I know Valentina was here. Anyone else was at one of those? You weren't. No, you weren't there. You were there, Valentina. You were there before. I don't think you came to one of these Waves ones. Maybe I did. This one here is Waves. This is Waves Coffee. Very hard to see. If you can dim these lights some more, I think that'd be great. Anyway, so those were my humble beginnings of just trying to make a living, and I got addicted to social media, and I used to just spend a lot of time on Twitter learning about Twitter. You guys know what I'm talking about? People just use social media to learn about social media, and I felt like I was just wasting a lot of time, and I wasn't being productive because I just spent so much time reading Mashable, TechCrunch, later on Social Media Examiner came out. Spent a lot of time reading these sites, and I thought, I can't make money if all I do all day is just read the news and try to stay up to date with what's happening in social media, right? There's just so many changes. And we're talking about 2009, 2010, social media is just growing exponentially. And so I decided, in order to justify the amount of time that I was taking for my hobby, which I was not doing this for work, I just genuinely enjoyed learning about what was happening in social media, staying up to date with the news, and just learning, right? Soaking in information. So I decided that I would start teaching workshops in order to justify this habit that I had created. And that's why I started teaching workshops. And so at first I would charge $300 and do a little weekend workshop. And now we've done workshops where, in 30 to 60 days, we're doing $100,000 webinars and $70,000 webinars and so on. So it's come a long way from the in-person coffee shop experience to the online experience. Anyone ever been on one of our webinars before? Yeah, a few people. Awesome. All right, so I was originally inspired by this movie here. Anyone not see Pulp Fiction? I already know you haven't seen it, but you have not seen Pulp Fiction? Dude, really? You look so hip. All right, well, it's a great movie. So I saw this movie, and somehow I got inspired by film, and I thought how amazing it was that a story could be told in a non-linear way, and how there was actually lessons in the story. If you go past the violence, there were some actual genuine lessons in the story, and I got really inspired by film, and I thought that I could change the world by getting into film. Then I started working in the film industry, and I became a props guy. I was a props assistant. So I volunteered at first. I worked on a show called Growing Up Different. It was a documentary of, what's that guy's name? Growing Up Different, the little show? What's his? Names at the tip of my tongue, but anyways, I worked on a documentary movie, and then I was in there for about 2 years, and then I realized that the people who were working in the film industry for 5 or 10 years oftentimes hated their job and hated their life, and I realized that I didn't want to do that long term, and I think any profession you want to go into, you should talk to people who have been doing it for a long time and find out if they still enjoy it after 10 years. And when I realized most people did not enjoy it, I realized I had to get out of it, and that kind of ended my film career. And then at the time, the real estate market was booming. This is now 2008. And I became a real estater. So I didn't know the difference between a realtor and a real estate agent, so I just called myself a real estater. And my friends made this for me more of it as a joke. It's not even a real mustache. They were just making fun of me. But I call myself the failed realtor because I sold one place, and it was for my dad. And I think my commission was $3,000. And that was all the money that I made that entire year, while keeping up my habit of going out to the bar and partying all the time. I have no idea. I was a real dumbass. And by the end of the year, I had over $30,000 in credit card debt. And it's a painful experience for anyone who's ever been there. And I'm not talking about student loans, right? This is 20% interest credit card debt. This is no fun. And I realized I had to do something else, and real estate wasn't working for me. I'd spent a year there. I went to my managing broker and I said, what should I do? I said, I got no sales skills. I got no marketing skills. What are my options? And he said, you're young. Why don't you try to figure out this internet marketing stuff? Yeah, exactly. So So then I met this guy over here. This guy's name is Sandeep. He had just arrived from the States. Prior to that, he was from India. He had a real thick Indian accent. And he just came to Vancouver to start an SEO company. He was telling me about SEO, search engine optimization. Who doesn't know what that is? Nobody? Okay, good. One person? All right. Two people? All right. You guys got to go. No. All right. So search engine optimization is a process of ranking your website on Google. So he told me about this, and I was like, dude, this guy's a hacker. I'm like, is this stuff even legal? You know, and he's like, this is very legal. So, so anyway, so I asked him, I said, could you mentor me, teach me about internet marketing? And he said, yeah. He said, how about you help me with my sales and I'll teach you about internet marketing. So I said, okay, cool. So he gave me a phone book. Again, this is like now we're still in 2009. He gave me a phone book and he said, call the guys with the biggest ads. Those guys got money and they should not be spending it on a huge yellow page ad. So I said, okay. I opened up the book and every day I would choose a different topic and I just started cold calling. And he told me, the first sale you make, I'll give you 100% of whatever that sale is. So I picked up the phone, called, and by the next week, we scheduled an in-person meeting with a moving company. We went and met with them. They signed the deal. It was for $3,000. I think a week after that, he wrote me a check for $3,000, and I said, I love internet marketing. I made more money in 2 weeks than I did in an entire year in real estate, right? So that's when I started going on a mission of learning everything I could. I started taking courses, going to workshops, watching YouTube videos, following these online celebrities, reading every Mashable article. Mashable used to be really good, by the way, a long time ago. You reading every single Mashable article and TechCrunch article and just learning about the tech industry. It wasn't just learning about social media strategies. Like I had my finger on the pulse. I knew exactly what was going on, even inside the companies. I had people who were buying stocks in companies asking me questions about what was happening. I knew everything about every single social media company. I spent hundreds of hours watching YouTube videos. I remember when I first found TED, I swear I watched every single TED video for like a year. It was insane. Just soaking up as much knowledge as I could, and I still do this to this day. I still buy thousands of dollars in courses. I go to workshops. I travel to go to conferences just to keep my finger on the pulse of what's happening in the internet marketing world. Social media has become more than social media. Social media is now internet marketing, right? So in 2009, I started Web Friendly, and originally just doing these small little workshops. In the same year, we started the Internet Masterminds meetup. Who here is from the Internet Masterminds? Yeah, all right, a few people. So 2009, we started that. This is now the largest internet marketing meetup on meetup.com. We have over 6,000 members. And then I started doing these workshops in 2010 called the New Facebook for Brands workshop. And anyone come to one of those before? So those were smaller workshops, very similar style to what we're doing here, but in a bit of a smaller setting. And I would teach people all about Facebook. Eventually, I did a weekend workshop, filmed it, and then I sold the recordings of that online, which is actually what we're planning to do with the recording of this today as well. And then in 2011, we started something called the Social Media Director Certification Program. So this is for people who want to start a career as a social media director and offer social media marketing services to other businesses. And then in 2014, we started the SEO Director. I teamed up with my friend Rob, who's here somewhere. I don't know where he went. There he is. I teamed up with Rob, and we did the SEO Director. Very similar concept to the Social Media Director, is that this time you're offering those illegal SEO services to people. And last year, we did the 4 Steps of Social Media Profits Bootcamp that was held here. We filmed it. Now, this is a course that we also offer online. At that event, we offered our brand new program called Instant Social Media Profits. This is for business owners to learn about social media, as well as we actually designed the training in a way that you can actually provide it to your team and to your staff, so that way you can actually get them trained by watching these videos as well. And then we tied in something called Instant Sales Systems, which was all about how to sell high-ticket products online. So things over $10,000, how to sell that online. And this was an in-person workshop. Again, we filmed it, created a new course, right? So again, this was last year, held here, exact same format. And this year, we are doing the Ultimate Facebook Profits Workshop, all right? So here's what we're going to go through today. We're going to talk about how to grow your audience on Facebook. Then we're going to get into how to engage your audience on Facebook, and then talk about how to convert your audience on Facebook. Every time I go into a social media platform, these are the 3 steps I always look for. How do you grow? How do you engage? And how do you convert? All right. So you're going to see kind of the style, the training, and kind of the strategy that we're going through. if you're smart enough and you do a bit more research, you can notice that this formula and this strategy can work for any social media platform that comes out. This works on Twitter, it works on LinkedIn, it works on YouTube by just following this formula. So here we go. Before we get started, there's going to be 3 rules to Facebook. And by the way, I know everyone's got a workbook in your hand. I got to tell you guys this as well. So we wrote the workbook over the last 4 weeks before I made the presentation. And so there's some stuff that's in your workbook that's not in the presentation, and there's some things that are in the presentation that are not in your workbook as well. But for the most part, it does follow the sequence that's inside the workbook as well. Okay? So the 3 rules to Facebook. This is not in your workbook right now. Here it is. The first thing is that you always want to add value. Okay, so anytime you're creating any content, you're posting anything, you always want to stop and think, does this add value, or am I just trying to take something from my audience? All right, so you always want to be adding value. The second thing is that you always want to be cool. Be cool with everyone you interact with. Anyone messages you, don't let your ego get in the way if someone's trying to contact you. Always try to be helpful to everyone as much as you can. Be open. One thing that I've always tried to do is be approachable, right? So I don't want to be the guru on the stage that no one can really access. Part of what I've always believed in is being approachable and being able to talk to people one-on-one. So you always want to be cool with everyone, and also, of course, with your customers. But just keep that in mind when you're on Facebook. Always be cool. Don't judge people. Don't criticize people. Right? Always keep it positive. All right? Who does not understand the definition of cool? All right, everyone here? Yeah, be like that. Thank you. And the last part, which is a really important part for businesses specifically. The first 2 could apply to everybody, but for businesses, you must advertise. And we're going to talk about advertising today. So let's first talk about you. So we want to know, who are you going to be online, and how are you going to represent yourself online? It amazes me the amount of people that I see online. They've got a profile. I see their picture. They post every once in a while, and I have no idea who they are. I can't click on their profile and go in and find anything about them. I can't Google their name. Like, anyone ever kind of worried about people who they meet that they cannot Google? Anyone else? Right? It's a serious problem, right? Especially anyone who's trying to get a job, right? I know if anyone were to apply to work with me, I would Google them. If I couldn't find anything, it would be an absolute no. I would think they're either crooked or, or they're probably wanted by the FBI or CIA, something like that, right? It could be something serious. So the first thing you want to do before we get into any of the strategies is, I'm going to throw this out. This is more basic stuff, but you need to fill in your profile. You need to go to your Facebook personal profile, and you want to fill in all the stuff in this about section. There's all the stuff that goes down here, and you want to fill all of that in, as much details as possible. We'll talk more about why these details are so important, even in terms of you getting more reach to your audience, but you want to fill in as much information as possible. Facebook asks the most amount of questions than any other social network, which is what makes it so valuable. The data, right? So they're asking you so many questions, so advertisers could then target you. So it's something that you also want to look at. When everyone else is going in, filling in this information, you can now target people based on the information they fill in. So there's kind of a twofold benefit to going in and looking at this. But I do recommend you fill in as much information as possible inside here. So if someone wants to go and look you up and see if you're credible and see if you're cool, they can know who you are from your Facebook profile. You want to work with the benefit of the fact that Facebook actually asks these questions. One thing that just ticks me off about Twitter is they don't ask any questions. You see somebody on Twitter, you really don't know who they are or if they're a real person at all. On Facebook, it's a lot easier to determine if someone's a real person or they're just a spammer who's going to start posting pictures of Oakley specials on your Facebook profile. All right? So answer all the questions. All right? You also want to get a really good headshot, right? A good headshot is, again, going to make you look more cool. It's going to raise your profile, right? And you don't want to just get someone who has a nice camera. That's not what this is about. This is about finding a real photographer who's going to get your personality in this photo. Right? We take hundreds of shots in order to get these 2 shots, right? I spent 4 hours or 6 hours doing photo shoots, going to different locations, doing different things, just so we can get these 2 shots so I can post them on Facebook and make people think that I'm cool, right? And it is important that people think that you're cool, all right? So I can't stress this enough. If you're going to do anything, just make sure you have a good professional headshot from a photographer. This should cost you between $300 to $500 to get this done. All right, you need this. The next thing is to make your profile public. All right, I know some of you are going to get scared about making your profile public, but let me tell you, anything you post online, it could be accessed. Right, your emails could be accessed. Right, whatever you say on Facebook in a private message, you think that no one's ever going to read that? What happens if one day, I know China or Russia hacks Facebook and all of a sudden everyone's profiles are just public? Everyone's private messages are just public. Don't think it's not possible, right? It's possible. So always keep that in mind. Anything you share online, right, should be okay for the whole world to see. All right? And that's why I made my profile public a long time ago. It's a security feature. I always know that what I'm posting on Facebook is public, and I'm not going to say anything stupid. I know that's going to stay on the internet forever. All right? So you always want to make sure that whatever you're posting is okay for the whole world to see. Now, if there's once in a while, if you've got a post that you prefer to keep private to the extent that it can be private, there is a feature under every post. You can hit this little drop down and make it friends only. You can adjust privacy for individual posts. But for the most part, especially for anything you're talking about related to business, you want this to be public. When someone comments or likes your posts that are public, it creates a story to all of their friends as well that they now have commented or liked your post as well. It's almost the equivalent of sharing your post, but it's showing social proof. All right? So you want to make your profile public. There's another feature that allows you to have followers on your personal profile as well. And what this does is it makes it so that if someone else hasn't been to this workshop and doesn't know that their profile should be public, and some people are very private with their Facebook, right? It allows them to follow you and follow all of your public posts without adding you as a friend, which means that you can't see what they're posting. They're just following you, all right? Following all of your posts. And you could see, I turned this follow button on the day that the feature became available on Facebook, and I now have over 3,000 people follow me. I have almost as many followers as I have friends on Facebook, right? So it gives you that much more exposure on your profile. All right, you also want to create a cool Facebook page as well. Get a nice banner made, right? A nice photo, a nice thumbnail for that as well. And we'll talk more about the content that you're going to actually put on your page throughout this presentation. But you need a Facebook personal profile and a Facebook page if you want ultimate Facebook profits. All right, you need both. All right. And when you create this page, you want to think about what is the benefit of liking your page, right? So why should anybody like it? And what you need is a like statement. All right. So what's your like statement? And if you open up your workbooks, you're going to notice this is the first part in the workbook that has a blank spot in it. It goes, like my page for a specific benefit. This is the formula. You got to know what your like statement is. Why are people going to like your page? Why should they like it? Is it all about you, or are they going to get something out of it? Are you adding value, or you just want to promote stuff to them? I can tell you one really cool thing. Once you get into Facebook ads, and by the way, I haven't asked yet, who has never run a Facebook ad before? A few people, okay. So when you're running a Facebook ad, you're going to be running your Facebook ads through your Facebook page. So your Facebook page is what displays your actual ad. So that's one of the reasons why you're going to need a Facebook page. But if you want people to be able to like your page, so then you can then target all of your fans and actually engage that audience, and we'll talk more about segmenting your audience in a moment. You want to make sure that there's a clear benefit. When they get to your page, they know that this is a hub of information. This is a hub of content that they could see, that they could view. So you want to think about, like my page for a specific benefit. What is the benefit going to be of your page? Are you going to be educating people? Are you going to be entertaining people? Right? Are you going to post the latest deals? Will you be sharing news that's important? Are you curating news? Right? You want to think about that. So you don't have to answer the question right now. As we go through this presentation, we're going to talk a bit more about this. We're going to come back to this. You need to have your like statement. All right. Now we're getting into the meat of the content. Let's talk about how to grow your audience. So we're going to answer 3 questions here. Who is your audience? How big is your audience? And then how do you reach your audience? Here we go. So one of the more important things is to kind of figure out who your audience is. Okay, and this is a concept that I'm really going to try to get everyone to fully understand before you leave here today. Okay, this is really important. And again, we're going to keep coming back to this one. When you think about who your audience is, you want to then segment your audiences into buckets or into groups, all right? So for example, actually, why don't I use someone else here as an example? Who'd like to shout out, who's your audience? Just shout it out, let me hear it. Entrepreneurs. Okay, entrepreneurs, right? So there are several types of entrepreneurs. Can we get more specific?
Solo, want to go 5 figures, 6 figures.
So entrepreneurs who want to get to 5 or 6 figures, all right?
From 5 to 6.
Go to 5 to 6. What else can you tell me about them?
They need accountability, strategy.
Okay, they need strategy. Okay, cool. Are they from Vancouver or where are they from? Vancouver people? Okay. What else can you tell me?
Average age is around 40.
40? Okay. Anything else?
Most of my clients are female.
Okay. So what you want to do is you want to go from, so we get entrepreneurs, 40, want to go from 5 figures to 6 figures, mostly female, right? So what I do is I would take that audience, and I'll think about on Facebook and all the targeting options that are available on Facebook, how can I break up that audience into maybe 3 to 5 different audiences? Right? So I could segment them based on various locations in Vancouver. I could segment them based on male and female, age groups. Another one that could work as well is education level shows that they have a higher income, right? Typically, right? Being married could also show that they could possibly have a higher income as well, right? So there's a few ways that I can kind of break up the fact that they're all entrepreneurs, but I want to put them into different batches. And the reason for that is this. Would it be better for one person to see your content 10 times or for 10 people to see it once? Who goes for one person, sees it 10? Who says 10 people see it once? All right. All these second people are all wrong. So what you want is if one person sees it once, you know there's that old saying in advertising that people have to see your advertisement, like what is it, like 8 or 10 times? Or you guys know what I'm talking about? What's the stat? 60 times, right? So you need people to see your content on a regular basis. If 10 people just see it once, 10 people could just see it once and then kind of ignore it, right? Who heard about this and just saw it once and bought a ticket and showed up? Awesome, you guys are great. Bad example. No. That was only maybe 10 people that are here, right? And there was 263 people who have registered for this, right? Very small amount, right? Most people have seen this several times before. Right, so what you want to do is you want to figure out who these audiences are, and we're going to get into how you're actually going to target these people, but you want to batch them and then create content for these segments and then make it so that way these same people are seeing your content over and over again. So you've got to break up your audience into smaller batches, okay? And again, we're going to come back to this again, but keep this in mind for now, small batches. All right. So typically, if you're going local, that is not supposed to say $100,000. It's supposed to be $100,000. So local, typically, you can get an audience around 50,000. If you're in a city with a very high population, you might get it to 100,000 with an audience. Vancouver has a population of 1 million people. Typically, when we're doing a local batched audience, it's actually under 50,000. Okay, locally, just because of our population. If you were like in Los Angeles and California, in your cities with larger populations, it'll probably be a lot more than that. You want your audience size to be as large as possible while still being targeted. Now, when you go on a more international or national level, you're looking at a 1 to 2 million person audience. All right, and these are the numbers for the most optimized to get the lowest cost per click or lowest cost per engagement, lowest acquisition cost. You want to try to get it again as big as possible while still staying targeted. All right. So now, how do you reach your audience? So there's 3 ways. Okay. So there's something called EdgeRank. There's boosting your posts, and then there's going to be email. All right. So these are the 3 ways. So EdgeRank, boosting your posts, that's Facebook advertising, and email. All right. So EdgeRank was something that was created by Facebook several years ago now. I think this is like 2010, 2011. I'm not even sure if they still actually refer to it as EdgeRank, but most marketers still talk about this. So the basic premise of this is based on these three principles. Okay, it's called affinity, weight, and time decay. All right. So affinity is a relationship between people and pages, or people and people. Right? So it's basically asking, how much do you really know your audience? Okay, that's what affinity means. Okay, so they'll use all these different triggers that are online, all these different actions that you take on Facebook, they all will create more affinity. The more that you use Facebook, the more affinity that you're going to create. If you guys both RSVP for an event, let's just say anyone RSVP'd on Facebook for this event, Facebook will now assume that you probably know each other, you've seen each other in person. Or the fact that I said yes and everyone else said yes to the event will have more affinity on Facebook, okay? So they're trying to find people that you actually know. That's the purpose of this algorithm. And the more affinity you have, the more reach you're gonna get on Facebook. The more people that are gonna see your post for free, all right? Weight is the amount of comments, likes, and tags, and anything else that you attach to your post. Okay, that's weight. Comments, likes, shares, that creates the most weight, but also adding a link or a photo, there's milestones, there's several things like that. So this basically asks the question, are you adding value? Right? So do people really know you? Are you adding value? And time decay is basically how long ago the post was created. All right? So you notice that, after a post is about, 24 to 48 hours, it's not seen on the newsfeed as much, right? So this question is basically, how often are you posting? If you just post once in a while, you're probably not going to get very much organic reach at all. You should be posting on a more frequent basis. That could be a few times per day or a few times per week. It could be once or twice a week. That's okay too. All right? But if you're posting like once a month, you're not going to have very good time relevance on Facebook. Now, there's a lot of studies about the best the best days to post on Facebook. There's all these studies. There's so many studies. You guys can go out and find 20 different studies, and they'll all tell you a different day. All right. Same with the times. I found all these different studies about best times to post. All right. But who knows what the absolute best time and best day is to post? Wednesday at 3:14. So, and this is kind of like a joke. It's like you don't really need to post just because you post at Wednesday at 3 o'clock doesn't mean you're going to get tons of engagement, okay? My rule of thumb is to post during times that people are active and online, right? And I gauge that as between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. And depending on the context of what you're posting, it's also equally important, right? Like if you're talking about work-related stuff and it's dinner time, people are probably tuned out at that point, right? Or if you're talking about, I don't know, let's just say, the real estate market as an example, right? If you're doing like an open house, right? It shows that there's a lot of studies that have said that posting about real estate related things on the weekends is a better time to post about it because that's when people are out shopping, they're going to open houses, that sort of thing. So you want to think about who your audience is and when they're going to be online and post at relevant times, right? I have a friend of mine who every once in a while will announce a new workshop he's doing or a new event at like 12 o'clock on Friday, like 12 o'clock in the morning on Friday. I'm like, why do you do this? And every time I message him dude, why? so you want to do it at a relevant time. All right. And the next way here is boosting posts. So this is the much better way of doing this. This is a really easy button for doing this. And when this first came out, a lot of people were complaining about this, but this is actually great news that you can pay to get reach. You don't have to just rely on just getting it organically because if your competitors are not doing this and you are, well, now you're reaching all of your customers and they're not, right? So here's how this works. So every post that I post on my page, every single post, I just started a brand new page a few months ago, and every time I do it, every time I post something, I always boost the post. Okay, I hit the little boost post button. Okay, and over here there's something called engagements, and this is what I measure: how many engagements did we get, and what was the cost of those engagements. Okay, so you'll notice that, and I'm going to show you some examples. If you post something and you don't boost it, no one's going to comment or like it. Probably no one's even going to see it. Okay, that's how little traction you're going to get on a Facebook page if you don't hit the boost post button. Okay, so you need to create a piece of content and boost it. Don't go in effort in putting some great content if you're not planning to boost it. It's a total waste of time. It's a total waste of Facebook efforts. Okay, so you can decide how much you want to boost it for. I think like $5 is the minimum, not sure. I usually do $20 to $50 or so per post. But I don't do a lot of posts. I do maybe 1 to 2 per week, but then I'll boost them for a few days, either 3 or 4 days or a week, depending on how good the content is and how much exposure I want to get to it. If you guys need seats, you guys can get in there and grab some seats there. Right, so right here, I just want to keep track of that number. So that was 38 cents per engagement, okay? This is the metric that I'm tracking here. I'm not looking at how many page likes did I get or how many links, URL clicks did I get. My goal here is the engagement, right? Because I want to build a relevant audience, right? I've gone in and I've actually targeted. I have a few different audiences that I target. You could actually see them. I didn't actually show it in here, but you can see that I'm targeting a very specific audience. So what I'll do is I batch up my audiences into 3 to 5 different categories, and every once in a while I'll create a piece of content and I'll boost it to that particular audience. That way they'll see it. So they're getting it on a very frequent basis and seeing it in their newsfeed. So here's another one. So this was a documentary video that we filmed. So the video itself, I spent about $500 on actually creating the video, maybe a bit more than that. But you can notice here when I posted it, we were getting 2 cents engagements versus a group photo at 38 cents per engagement, right? So I created a cool piece of content, put it on Facebook, then I got the exposure to it. And you can see here that, over 3,000 people or almost 4,000 people have engaged with this. Now, engagement means that they clicked somewhere within the post. If they clicked around this white area, that counts as well. Okay, they don't have to hit a play button. They can click on the link, but if they literally just click right there and by accident, that counts as an engagement as well. Okay, so it means that they may have been paying attention to this. Okay. Now here's another example here. So this is what was this? This was a testimonial video. All right, so I got some testimonials, put those up, and you can see this one here is at 1 cent per engagement, testimonial video, right? Go to the next. I got lots of examples here for you. Right here, this is very recent. This was for our prize wheel, which we got over there. We'll bring it out after the break. But this was really interesting. So I posted a photo of me, a selfie of me with the prize wheel, 50 cents per engagement. A video of me with the prize wheel, we got 1 cent per engagement. Right? So the videos are clearly winning the race here. Now, over here, this was more of a promotional post. Okay, so this one here wasn't really a promotion. This was more of just, all I said is I had a prize wheel. But over here, I'm actually promoting, and I had a link, and I'm saying you should buy a ticket to the event, that sort of thing. And you can see here, I'm at 46 cents, right? And down here as well, this is also promoting. So if you hit the see more button, and you can see right there, I had the link to the event, that sort of thing. Again, I was promoting here, and 39 cents, right? So now I'll go over here some more examples. Again, promoting is 50 cents. When I'm not promoting and I'm creating content, I'm getting 1 cent engagement, right? Over here, again, a promotion. This is like a full-on ad that I use the boost post button for. Big mistake. Wasn't paying attention to this. I also realized how much I freaking spent on this. I wasn't paying attention to it. And you can see $1.23 per engagement. That's horrible. This is a horrible ad, okay? Over here, this was an old video from an older workshop that I did. Took that older video, uploaded it onto Facebook with a little blurb, 4 cents engagement, right? And over here, another testimonial video. This is an older testimonial video that I had, and 2 cents per engagement. So we're seeing that the clear winners are the videos, and the testimonials do great as well. But even that other video I showed you with the prize wheel, that was just filmed on my iPhone. I didn't spend any money or anything like that. That was a 1-minute video. It took us 5 minutes to film, right? Now, this is the only post on my entire new Facebook page that I just created that I did not boost, all right? And you can notice that there's one share, and it was because I shared it on my personal profile. So I posted it on my Facebook page, shared it on my personal profile, and that's why it has 518 people saw it. That was the reach that I was getting from my personal profile for free. Right? But again, there's no engagement on it because I didn't boost the post. Because shortly after that, I posted a live stream of my presentation that I was giving at this event, and I ended up getting 16 cents engagements. Okay, so that was after the live stream ended, I boosted the post for the live stream so more people would see it. But what's really interesting too is that there was maybe 150 people at the event, and then we engaged another 180 people for $30, which is not a bad investment. All right. So that's boosting posts. You create a good piece of content that people are going to enjoy and want to watch. All right, you post it on Facebook, and you post maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. That's all you need. This is not about posting every single day or multiple times a day. Now, there's one exception to the boosting post rule, and that is if you have a Facebook page that has hundreds of thousands or over 1 million people that like the page, there's a different approach and different strategy you take, and that's where you would be posting like every hour. Okay, because you would get a significant amount of organic reach. The organic reach on a Facebook page is something like 2%. But if you have 1 million fans, 2% is still a lot. And so you'll just keep on posting maybe every hour, every few hours. That's why you notice a lot of the news sites and, you know, more of those viral pages and that sort of thing. If you notice they post more often, it's because that's how they could not have to pay for boosting posts. Instead, they could just post more frequently. So they'll invest more in the content versus paying for the ads, all right? But when you're first starting out, you want to have really good content and not as much of it, and then also pay for the ads. And now there's another unique feature here. If you're looking to grow your fan base as well, every time somebody likes one of your posts, what you'll do is you'll click over here where it shows everyone who had liked it, and it'll pull up this little dialog box where you can then invite people to like your page. Okay, so if people like your post, you can then send them a notification on Facebook and invite them to then like your page. And this is also going to help grow your audience doing this. This is actually, we're now at 800 or so likes on our Facebook page that we just started, and it all came from this one strategy of people who have liked it and then inviting them to like it and inviting our friends and that sort of thing. All right, now the other way is using your email newsletter. All right, and we're going to talk more about how to actually collect emails, but if you've got a newsletter, you can also use that to drive traffic to your Facebook page as well. So right here is an email that I wrote to my newsletter telling them about the prize wheel, right? So I took the photo that I had posted on Facebook and I made it so if they clicked on these links, they would go to the post on Facebook. So I was sending traffic to my Facebook page. Over here was the video, the documentary video that we did. I also sent that out to my newsletter as well, getting traffic from my newsletter to go back and watch the video. And over here is the live broadcast that we did. So I emailed my newsletter and said, hey, we're going live right now. And I sent them a link to the live stream so they can watch the presentation live as well. So you can use your email list to send people to your Facebook page to then engage with your content. So you want to think about, if nobody knew how many fans you had, would you care? Honest question. Nobody knew how many Facebook fans you had, would you care how many fans you had?
Yes.
You would? So a lot of people focus too much on just trying to grow their fans, right? I get a lot of people who contact me and say, hey, can you help us get more fans on Facebook? And it's kind of silly. Like, it's not about how many fans you have, it's how many engaged people do you have in your audience. And it really doesn't even matter where they are. Whether they're your friend on Facebook, whether they like your Facebook page, they're in a group together and you're constantly engaging inside of someone else's group, right? It's the reach of the audience and the impressions on the audience that's going to matter, right? The benefit of someone liking your Facebook page is that way you can engage with them over and over again. All right, it's not about 10 people seeing your post once. It's about one person seeing your post 10 times or more. All right, so just keep that in mind when you're looking at growing your page. I stopped running ads to get likes for a long time. Right, I just will create content. I will boost the content. People will like the content. They'll like the page, and if they don't like the page and they like the content, I invite them to like the page. And that's how we'll grow and get more likes. So it's better to have a smaller audience, but a really engaged audience, than trying to focus on just growing your audience and just making it really large, because then no one's going to really be engaged. So you want to engage people and indoctrinate them as they're coming to your page and liking your page. And that's how you're going to grow a real foundation. And eventually you're going to hit a tipping point where people just start really engaging and sharing your content and telling people about it, and then the wheel starts spinning. All right, so you want to focus on getting a really good audience on your page. All right, so some tips and tricks. I actually want to, in this section, take some questions from you and come up with some of our tips and tricks. So who's got a question from what we've covered so far? Yeah.
When you just mentioned it's better to have one person see it 10 times.
Yeah.
Do you not run the risk of someone hiding it then? Because if I see someone sponsor something too many times over and over again, I get annoyed and just hide it.
Great. So the question was, if one person sees your post 10 times and it gets annoying, they might just end up hiding it. And absolutely, some people might do that. But what it's about is not them seeing that one piece of content 10 times, but they see several pieces of content over time. Right? So absolutely, like, when I had that documentary video, it was doing really well, 1 cent engagements, and I could have kept on boosting it. Right? But I wouldn't do it to that one audience. Remember, I have like 5 different audiences, right? So I boosted it to that one audience, and then I could start boosting it again to my next audience, right? And that's how I can continue that. And absolutely, you don't want to have a very...
It's the exact same thing 10 times. It's just seeing you.
Absolutely, yeah. Just seeing you 10 times. Absolutely, yeah. Great question. Back there first, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Look, if you're an artist, so you have your own page.
Yeah.
And you say you make your own personal profile public. How do you differentiate what you actually post in most of your work is personal?
Yeah, so you have a personal profile and a business profile. So you're saying, how do you differentiate what you're going to post on each profile?
Well, if you make your personal profile actually public.
Gotcha. So if you make your personal profile public, how do you differentiate what you post on your business page? That's the question? Yeah, so on my business page, I only post things related to business, and that's it. Right? On my personal profile, I'm also talking about things happening personally in my life, right? I post baby pictures and I'm out with my friends and that sort of thing, because I can gain engagement with people that can feel like they actually know me by actually seeing these personal stories. But if I have a Facebook page and someone liked it for a business purpose, as an example, and then I start posting pictures of babies. They're like, well, I like this page because I want to learn about social media, as an example, right? So I keep all my very much like business stuff on my Facebook page. And what I'll do, if something is very businessy, I will post it on my Facebook page and then share it on my personal profile, right? So I'm sharing my business page post to my personal profile, and all my personal stuff just stays in my personal profile. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, back there first, yeah.
When you show the boosts, is that coming from Facebook to you?
Yeah.
You make an expenditure and then they give you this result?
Absolutely, yeah. So the boost post button is underneath every post on your Facebook page, and when you hit that button, a little dialog box pops up and says, who's your audience, who do you want to target, and how much you want to spend.
Just you see that, right?
Yeah, only you as an admin of your Facebook page would see that, yeah. And keep in mind, the boost post button is optimized for engagement, not clicks, okay? So we're gonna talk more about if you're trying to get clicks to your landing page or to your website, you would not use the boost post button. It's only for engagement. All right, we'll go here.
How do you boost a live video?
You can't boost a live video. You have to wait until it's over and then boost it. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any chance to boost for a specific audience?
Yeah. You can go in and you would create your audience inside. Once you hit the boost post button, you can choose who your audience is and then save the audience. I name it and save it, and then I say, okay, here's a batch of my audience, like what we talked about earlier, right? Here's all the women who are 40, married, entrepreneurs in Vancouver. Yeah, just like a normal ad. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, you got one right there. Yeah.
With scheduled posts,
Yeah.
can you boost those automatically?
Unfortunately not. So you can't. So if you schedule a post, it would be great to also schedule the boost, but you cannot. It's got to get posted, and you have to go in there and boost it. Yeah. Let's go back there.
I'm wondering, when you change the amount you invested in each ad,
Yeah.
how do you determine how much to invest?
How do I determine how much to invest in each ad? Honestly, I just pick a number out of my head.
Approximately how many views you're going to get?
It would. But I don't have like I just go like, oh, this is good. Like maybe $20 is good today. I don't know. Like, like I packed a lunch, say $5. So hey, why not 25? Like, yeah. Let's go to Vicky. So what's the difference between engagement and reach? Great question. Engagement means that somebody clicks somewhere within your post. Reach basically means unique impression. So it's a unique person saw it. So if your reach is 1,000, like 1,000 people saw the post. okay, which would be different than impressions, which if you had 1,000 impressions, it could mean that, you know, one person saw it 1,000 times, right? Whereas reach on Facebook means unique person. All right, let's go, yeah?
Matt, so if you have a public Facebook page,
Yeah.
your profile, do you accept everybody that asks you to friend?
So when I have a personal profile, do I accept every friend request? I do not. I actually very much look at their profile and I see if they look like a real person or someone who's going to post Oakley sunglasses on my profile. So I actually don't like. I'm very particular about who I let in, especially like on a personal profile. You have a limit of 5,000 friends, so I've gone years now without breaching that. Where I know a lot of people have gone way past the 5,000 mark. Then you have this issue of trying to delete a friend, to add a friend, all that kind of stuff. So I'm very particular on who I let into my friends. Yeah. Otherwise, if someone adds me as a friend and I decline it, they become a follower. So that way they can still see all my posts, all my public posts. Yeah. We had a hand up over here. Yeah.
I've noticed some of the greatest success that you've had recently is because Marcus was in the photo.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if he was for hire because like I feel like
Yeah. So the question was if my son Marcus was for hire. So yeah, we could definitely chat about that. I make some extra money. I know, right? I know. But again, those instructional websites, man, they're amazing. Yeah, they're free. Yeah, it's amazing. No, I don't think half the people are getting my joke. All right, we'll do two more. Let's go over here. Yeah, you. Yeah.
So if the content isn't native, if it's being posted from like a content management software, and
Yeah.
let's just say the content was created on a blog, and the blog was pushed out to Facebook. So
Yeah.
it's populated without you actually going onto Facebook
Yeah.
and doing it. Is it going to get the same type of engagement than if I had actually created the content on Facebook, uploaded the pictures on Facebook, and then boosted it?
Yeah, so the question is if you're using an aggregator or something that it's like managing multiple accounts, and you could also make it so when you upload a blog post on your blog, it automatically posts it on Facebook. I don't recommend doing that. I actually go in and I'll create the post on Facebook, make sure it looks cool on Facebook and it's really optimized for Facebook, and I use a scheduler inside my Facebook page to actually schedule a bunch of posts. Absolutely. We'll do one more. We've got a really good one. Really good? Okay, back there. Okay, you're waving. Okay.
Sorry, I really need to ask this.
Yeah.
I'm an early adopter of Facebook. Hi,
Yeah.
Matt. I'm JD Oliver.
Hi.
Lori. I've got like 10,000 people on a business page that I started 3 years ago. It's organic and engagement is really good. And if I boost something, I get like, 10%, a 10 cent, 4 cent, 3 cent. But if I wanted to shift my brand, I'm afraid to leave those people because I don't think it's easy to get, something we did 5 years ago, right? Like I think Facebook's algorithms may actually favor the early adopter. So would you change the page and start over?
Is the audience? Okay, so the question was, you said 300,000?
No, I wish.
What'd you
No, just 10,000.
10,000. Oh.
10,000 with really active.
Okay, so so she's got a page with 10,000 fans on it, and asking about right now you want to kind of switch kind of what you.
I'm kind of switching my business a little bit.
Yeah, is the audience the same?
Starting over.
Yeah, is the audience that you're targeting that audience?
Yeah, probably about 60% of them are, 40 are definitely not.
Okay, so some of them are, some of them are not. So what you could do, because there is something with social proof, right? So I had a friend a long time ago that I had this argument with him about he was going to go and buy a bunch of, like, I don't know, he bought like, I think 80,000 fake fans and spent a lot of money doing this. So he would look really popular so that way he can get connected with other JVs. And he did it, and I was like, dude, that's not going to work. Everyone's going to know, right? And he did it, and it totally worked. And I was like, oh, I was wrong. So 10,000 is still, it's pretty good, right? And it gives you some social proof. So what you can do inside your settings, you can actually change the name of your page. It will notify everyone who's a fan of the name change. All right? So you might want to boost a post and say, hey, everyone, this is what I'm doing. And this page is going to change to a new name. You know, boost a post to your fans only. Maybe spend $100 on it or something like that. Boost it for a few days. Just say, if you're not interested in this thing, go ahead and unlike the page. We'll be doing the thing in a week or something. You know, something like that. That will also spark the engagement. Probably some people are going to support you and say that's awesome, and you know, and you kind of let them know what's going on. Then you do the change. Yeah. The other thing that you could do as well, this is also more advanced, but you can actually convert a personal profile into a Facebook page. And you can also merge pages together as well.
Oh, please tell me.
Yeah. So if you want to merge a page, both the names have to be similar. So what you could do is if you have two different names, you could change the name of one so that way they're both kind of matching. Then you submit a request for the merge, then they'll merge it, and then that could work as well. Or yeah.
What about when that doesn't happen? Like when you requested it like several times, the merge doesn't seem to happen.
Yeah, so if the merge doesn't seem to happen, then it's just like another, you know, you got to pull your hair out or like get frustrated, kick the wall. That's usually what works. Have a drink. Yeah, sometimes it can be difficult. All right, let's move on. So next step here is to engage your audience. All right. So what kind of content should you create? How do you create content people actually want? And how do you get more comments, likes, and shares? Here we go. So the first thing you got to know before you post anything, there's something that comes from the PR world, public relations world. I learned a long time ago. It's called reader's response theory. When you post something, how are people going to react? All right. So this is like honestly, this is like anytime I post anything that gets engagement or doesn't, I always think about this. I always think, before I post this, how are people going to respond? What are they going to say? Like literally, what are the words that they're going to write in the comments, right? And if I can't think of how someone's going to respond, no one's going to respond. Okay, that's called reader's response theory. So that comes back into like, you know, news and, you know, stories and that kind of get viral and go out, right? They think about how are we going to get a reaction from people, right? How are they going to respond to this? So that's what you want to think about anytime you're about to post something. The first thing you want to think about is how they're going to respond. If you cannot predict the outcome of what they're going to say, they're probably not going to say anything at all. If you ask a yes or no question, they're probably going to say yes or no, right? You know, they might just only like your post. Maybe liking is good. If you say, hey, like this post, you know, for whatever reason, maybe that's good. You'll get those likes. You can then send them all the invite to like your page, that sort of thing. Maybe that's good, right? So you want to be really clear on that and try to predict it. So what kind of content should you create? So types of digital content is either going to be written, it's going to be photos, videos, or live videos. So you want to think about these four categories and how you can create content for all four. Okay? So you could write a post and, you know, you can write like a long post, tell like a short story, you know, maybe 200 words. Something like that, right? You could take a photo, right, and then explain a little, you know, say a few words, right? You could make a video like what we did, you know, we got a tripod, put the camera on there, and did a quick thing with the prize wheel. It took like 1 minute, right? Live videos, you know, when you're going to an event, you could live stream it. We're live streaming this right now on Facebook, right? You know, if you want to do a thing at home, you know, a lot of people are just doing like a selfie live video and just start taking questions from people. Right? Live videos right now on Facebook are very much trending. Anytime there's a new feature on Facebook, you want to utilize it. Facebook will give it a lot of exposure organically. Right? So think about these three categories. What can you do with written, photos, videos, and live videos? All right? Those are the four categories. So how do you create content that people actually want? So a few of you have heard me talk about this concept before, but a few years ago, I got asked to go on global TV. Who's not heard the story before? A few people. Okay, I'll tell the whole story. Okay. So, yeah, I tell the story all the time, right? So a few years ago, I got asked to go on global TV to talk about Chris Hadfield's use of social media. Chris Hadfield is a Canadian astronaut. He spent 6 months in space. And while he was in space, he was using social media quite a bit. And my first reaction was, I had no idea who Chris Hadfield was when they called me. Right, and so, you know, this is the day that he's landing back on Earth, and they said, will you come on global TV and talk about his use of social media? So I said, I was nervous because I didn't know who he was, and I didn't want to tell her I didn't know who he was. So I said, I have to go and ask my PR team, right? And I don't have a PR team. So I phoned my friend, and she studied PR, and I said, hey, I got this opportunity. I don't know who this guy is. Should I do it, or is this just a bad idea? I'm going to embarrass myself. And she's like, no. She's like, you've got like 3 hours. You should go and study it. It's a great opportunity. Go and try to figure out as much as you can and do it. I'm like, okay, great. So I said yes. I called him back. I said yes. I went to a Starbucks, put my headphones on, and studied his use of social media. It was great because just a few months prior to that, I did a presentation. It was called Secrets of a Social Media Campaign, where I diagnosed some of the most successful social media campaigns that were out there. And one of the trends that I saw was something called the reality show method. Yeah, I named it. I made it up. But basically, that's what he was doing. He was creating a reality show out of his social media presence, but it went viral because it was exceptionally interesting because he was in space, right? And if you look at pretty much all celebrities, honestly, every celebrity, anyone you could think of, they're all using this method of basically creating a show around their life, right? And this can be done through written text. It can be done through photos. It can be done through videos, and now through live videos as well, all right? So there's some rules to this. So the first thing is that you don't want to ever complain, you don't ever want to criticize, and you don't ever want to judge. You want to keep your show positive and cool, right? You want to tell stories, you always want to add value, and you always want to go out and do cool stuff so you can talk about it. There's an ROI to everything cool that you do, right? You can go take a trip to Disneyland or go to Vegas and, take some photos, tell people about it. They're going to think you're so much more cooler because you're at Disneyland. Right? You can go, one of my realizations with this whole thing was, I was at a small meetup many years ago, and some people were talking about how some people will, just go on the grouse grind just so they can get to the top and then brag about it on Facebook. And a group of people were talking about how that was a negative thing. And I said, that's great. That's awesome. You should embrace it. Go out and do cool things so that we can go on Facebook and brag about it. If you're hiking a mountain, I mean, that's awesome, right? So I started embracing it, and I started going out, and sometimes I'd be tired. I don't feel like doing things. And then I'll be like, you know what? I'll go, because then I'll go get a photo, and then I'll freaking brag about it and go back to bed, So it's true. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but it absolutely is true, and it does work. So the more cool stuff that you go out and do, the better. So I have some examples for you. So over here, this is me going on Global TV. This is my first time getting my makeup done. All right. Over here is me drinking a coconut. All right, I went to a Thai restaurant, right? I was out of the house. It was cool, right? Over here, look at that. I climbed the mountain, right? That was awesome, right? Over here, I was biking. This is a true story. I was biking. I was moving on a bike, and a bird pooed on my back, right? And so then I felt it. I was like, oh, and I touched it. I was like, ew. And so then I went to a restaurant to go clean it off, and I took this photo, and it was bird poo. So I thought that was actually quite amazing. Over here, this is my bamboo tree. I had it for several years. It's now it's no longer with us anymore, but I had it for several years. And every once in a while, it would start dying or whatever, and then I would clean it up. And so one day, I cleaned out the whole bowl and whatever, and I was like, look at me, I'm an artist, Over here, I went snowshoeing, which I don't recommend. All right. Over here, I went skydiving in Australia. Don't recommend it. All right, and over here, this here is Rob. He's bench pressing Tyrone. I put that one just for you. So exceptionally more interesting than all the others. All right. So I also now started doing these documentary videos. We're actually filming one earlier today. We're doing a little documentary about this event right now, what's happening. So this was a documentary video, kind of like a day in the life of a social media director. It looks like I'm always busy like that, but that day we planned a whole bunch of stuff because we were planning to also film at the same time. So everyone's like, man, you're so busy. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's crazy. Business is booming. Over here is I was on a show here. I was on the You and I talk show, and what I did is I took the video of it, and I used a software called Wirecast. Anyone familiar with Wirecast? So Wirecast allows you to broadcast on video, Facebook Live, a pre-recorded video. So I had this video, and I had it for a few days prior to it actually airing on Shaw TV, and I wasn't allowed to publish it until after it was aired on Shaw TV. So then it was actually the day after my birthday, I then broadcasted it as if it was happening live on Facebook versus just uploading the video. It was a 30-minute video, right? And a lot of people ended up actually watching it and engaging with it. Anyone see it? Know what I'm talking about? A few people, right? People watched it, right? So it was a 30-minute video. So if I would have just uploaded a 30-minute video, I don't think a lot of people would have watched it. But because it was broadcasting live for 30 minutes on the newsfeed, anyone who I had affinity with on Facebook, which is probably a lot, was going to see that at the top of their newsfeed for 30 minutes. Right now, we're broadcasting right now this entire event on Facebook. And I'll be broadcasting on the newsfeed for the next 3 hours that people will be watching this as well, right? So also we did a whole bunch of new testimonial videos. So on the same day we filmed this, we filmed a whole bunch of new testimonial videos, and we're now using those testimonial videos as part of the content that we're producing for our new Facebook page. And we already know we get 1 cent engagements with these videos, which is great. And you don't have to, do a lot of cool stuff in order to make this work. The mundane things work just as well. Like as I showed you before, I was drinking a coconut. There was nothing really that special about it. You could be eating the best chicken burger of your life, and we could be talking about that, right? And so Seinfeld, anyone fans of Seinfeld? Yeah, a few people, right? It was a show about nothing, right? So it's like your reality show could be about nothing, as long as it's semi-entertaining, and you got something to say to add value, right? You don't want to make it boring, right? So just think about it that way. It's like the stuff that you're doing, you think that it's not interesting, but it is, right? You think that nobody cares, but they do, right? It's why reality shows become so popular. Like, why are reality shows even popular at all, right? They're just regular people doing silly things, and, why is Kim Kardashian famous, right? Like, honestly, right? So, they're just a family that's on camera. They got a lot of reach. People saw them many times. Now they're famous. Right? So that's how all people get famous online. It's just by putting themselves out there. Now this is another strategy that I use. I made this one up as well. This one's called a selfie story. You take a selfie, you tell a story. All right, so this also kind of fits into the reality show method. So you take a selfie of yourself. For some reason, selfies do great, right? On Facebook, they say that faces, food, and animals get the most engagement on Facebook. So if you take a picture of yourself, right? It's going to get people's attention. And then you write a little blurb and tell a little story. So on this day, I was just feeling good. I took this photo, I said, I'm wearing Ray-Bans, which is also cool, right? And I told a story about how I was feeling really productive. Right? I was like, I'm feeling so productive, having a great day. Thank you very much, right? Over here, you could see, over 100 people liked it. Right here, I was doing some work, right? So I was just doing some work. I was staying late, and then I posted this thing, and, about 80 people had liked it, right? Just took a selfie, told a story, told people what I was up to. That was it. If you look at Facebook and you're about to post a status update on Facebook, it actually asks you a question like that. It's like, what are you doing? If you just answer the question, that's all you got to do. That's your story, right? Over here, I was on the Capilano Suspension Bridge, my first time in over 10 years. And you could see here a whole bunch of likes. And I got this one really interesting comment at the very bottom here. It said, why 57 people like this? Are you a real superstar? And I was like, she got no photo. I don't even know who this is. Over here, I stole Amon's car. We were on a trip in Banff together. And then I took his car to go to a coffee shop, posted this out. I was really excited about it. I love convertibles. And over here is baby. Look at this. No, I did not. No, I posted that I damaged his car because I was hoping he was going to read it and be like, yo, what happened to my car? Right? Because he was doing a webinar. Anyways, baby, right? Advanced strategy. And you guys let me know. Again, lots of free resources online, how to do it. All right. Never get in. I thought of that joke like 4 weeks ago. That's why I had to use it. So there's another way of doing this, which is other people's content. So what you do is you go out and you find other people's content, and you share that content, and you share your opinion about that content. So you don't just share it. You're like you tell a story based off of that other person's content. So you're just like, look at what this person did. It's so cool. I was just there last week, and I'm so amazed, and everything's great, right? Or I don't know. You just take someone else's content, and then you share your own opinion, your own story about it. Okay. Which is different from just sharing the content. That's not what I'm talking about. You're actually going to create content by sharing someone else's content. That includes sharing blog posts and stories and other photos you might find online and other videos that you find intriguing, and tell a story about it, right? Another one is trending topics. So there's lots of resources to actually find out what are the most trending topics of the day, of the week, of the month, or even of the year. Right here is BuzzFeed and all the trending topics on BuzzFeed, and right here is a Google Trends map that shows all the trending content. So you can see what is trending, and you actually search in your industry and what is trending in your industry. If it's trending, that means that you know that people are interested in it at that time. So you don't just share it and say, look at this article, right? You share it and share your opinion about it. You share your story about it, right? You make it part of your show. It's something you're talking about today on your new show, right? You're telling them about what's happening, right? You can also just ask a question. The key with asking a question is to not ask a yes or no question. You want to ask people for their opinion. Okay, if you ask people for their opinion, what's going to happen? They're going to write in there their opinion, and someone else is going to respond to that and disagree with them, and then there's going to be a whole thing, and everyone's going to be fighting inside the comments, and and then it's just going to propel your content to the top of the news feed. You'll get even more engagement, even more reach, right? Hopefully it doesn't actually become negative, but all right. And another way of doing this is I've actually done this before, and this is more black hat maybe, but you can actually go onto Q&A sites, and you can look at different things like Yahoo Answers or Quora, and you go look at the kinds of questions that are being asked that have the most amount of answers, because then you know that that is an engaging question, all right? So you can actually go in and research what are some good questions to actually ask within your industry, right? And getting people engaged that way, all right? You can also do market research. Maybe there's something you want to know about your audience. You can ask them a question if you want to know something about your audience, right? Now, this is something else that I did. I haven't done this for a long time, but I did this one a few years ago, and I call this one the Facebook sales letter. And I saw a trend in the internet marketing world of people using this trend. I copied this from someone else. And it was a picture of a boardroom followed by a sales letter that follows this formula. It's like, here's what I got, here's what it's going to do for you, and here's what I want you to do next. Right? A call to action at the end. So basically what I did is I booked a boardroom at the Four Seasons. And then I got this was the actual boardroom at the Four Seasons, so I actually got the picture of it. So I booked the boardroom, I posted the picture, and I made a little sales letter that said, hey, I'm doing this workshop, only 12 people, and here's what I got, here's what it's going to do for you, this is what we're going to go through, here's, what you might get out of it. What I want you to do is send me a private message, let me know if you want to come, tell me, maybe answer these questions. I can't remember exactly what I wrote, but in your workbooks, I actually have the entire script of what I wrote. It's there in your workbooks for you to check out. But I actually sold out this entire workshop. I believe I was charging $400 or $500 and sold 12 spots just by posting this on my personal profile. So it's okay to promote on your personal profile and on your Facebook page. It's okay to promote. And it's actually important to promote even if it ends up costing you more per engagement, because you want people to know what it is you have to offer and what it is you do. As I was saying at the beginning, there's so many people that I know online that I don't know what they do, right? I don't think, and maybe I could be wrong, but I don't think there's anyone on my Facebook who doesn't know what I do, right? Like I post so much about it. I try to make it blatantly obvious. If people come up to me and are like, what do you do? I'm like, I don't even know what to tell you. I post so often, people get pissed off, right? So I want to make sure everybody knows exactly what I do. And so you do want to promote, even if people don't take action, it's okay, right? As long as people know what it is that you have to offer. All right. So how do you get more comments, likes, and shares? I've got a couple tips for you here. So there's this post formula that is very, very classic, but it basically goes like if you, or share if you, or you can even say comment if you, and then you go love or agree. So like this comment if you love Facebook, all right? Or share this post if you agree that, I don't know, what do we agree on? Science roll is awesome or something, something that your audience would say yes to. They would agree. They would like, that they already like it, right? And then people can then say, yeah, absolutely, I support this, and they're going to like it or they're going to share it or so on, right? A share is a bit harder to get than a like, right? But you can try it out, test it out. These are just some formulas that are very commonly used and often work. Now, here are some little things. And now, I didn't want to tell this, and I don't think I've ever told this in front of like a large audience before, but I do these things with whenever I'm writing a post. Now that you guys know, you guys got to promise you're going to not avoid my posts now that you know okay? You guys promise? All right, I already told you, so it's like you could just lie. But I start a post by either saying "wow" or "congratulations" or "it's official" with a little dash and then say what's official. Or I've done this one on my Facebook page: "enter to win" in all caps, semicolon, and then say what the prize is. And then I go "tonight," and then I say what's happening tonight. Okay, so I have found that starting your post with one of these words gets a hell of a lot more comments, likes, and engagement. It grabs people's attention. Okay, so the next time you see that I wrote "wow," right, and you're like, "What's so wow? What's going on?" You'll know. Or the "it's official." Anyone ever use the "it's official" before? You guys know a few people do that.
More if you spell official wrong.
You know, it actually, you specifically have to spell official that way. It doesn't work any other way. Yeah. All right. So we got some questions about that section. Yeah, and back there, yeah.
Sweet. I feel like people don't really read, and on your posts you have a lot of words.
Yeah.
How do you feel about words and no words?
So you feel like people don't read.
People, I've noticed people read maybe the first sentence or they use skimming, and you have these long kind of paragraphs.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah. So so the question is like, you know, he's saying, do people actually read this? Is really what it is. And what I think is that if you have an engaged audience, they'll read it. Because think about the post that you read, right? If someone who you're following that you're actually interested in posts something and it's long, you're like, what's he talking about, right? But if you just saw something going on your news feed, maybe not. Right? If you have no idea who the person is, why take the time to read it? But I could say, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm going to say that a good majority of people will read something on Facebook. I mean, you're on Facebook, you're reading right away. Your eyes are already moving, right? So I don't think it's safe to assume that people won't read it because it's long. There's also a lot of new studies around Facebook ads. Now they've actually allowed you to actually write more on your Facebook ad. And there's actually studies that show that that's actually improving the conversions the more that you write. So we'll talk more about that afterwards as well. But yeah, I think that it's okay to write something long. It doesn't mean that every post has to be long, but it's okay to write something long. I think as long as it's interesting and again, adding value and relevant, I think people will read it. Not everybody, but some will. Back there.
What are your thoughts on including hashtags in your posts and if there's a limit or
Okay.
how few?
So my thoughts on hashtags in Facebook posts. I don't know that there's that many people looking up hashtags on Facebook. I think it's more of a Twitter thing. I'm not huge on hashtags on Facebook. I would use hashtags on Twitter and Instagram. Do you guys ever search hashtags? No? Some people? Yeah. Again, that could be an assumption saying that people don't, right? But I personally haven't used it. But if your post is public and you use a hashtag, then yeah, people would see it if you use that hashtag. So if it's a trending hashtag, that's when you probably would want to use something like that. But I haven't been that big on hashtags on Facebook. In the back there.
Sorry, this kind of relates. With hashtags related to Instagram, when I started doing hashtag bundles, I went from like, no interactions to maybe 50 to 80. Just with hashtag bundles.
Yeah.
What's the relationship between Instagram followers for the same page, Facebook? How does that integration work? Is there a relationship there?
So the question is there a relationship between your followers on Instagram and your followers on your Facebook page? Not directly, but you can advertise your post to your Instagram followers, right? So that's the only correlation there. Not that I know of, not that I've ever heard of, yeah. He was asking about an organic correlation between someone following on Instagram and Facebook, so I have not heard anything like that, but it would be interesting if there was. Got something over there? Yeah.
If there's any like special event or that comes once a year, you kind of recorded a video of that last year.
Yeah.
And you want to boost that video on the same day, same time this year.
Yeah.
So what do? Like you click the share button and it will boost up on your Facebook personal page, or what else?
So the question is, if you have an old post on your Facebook page and on your personal page, and you want to share it again a year later, yeah, you could go and find the old post, and then yeah, you could just hit the share button, or you can just repost it again if you wanted to. It's not a repost button, but you could just repost it by copying and pasting it. Yeah. All right, over here.
Just wondering if there's a place for your primary content. You kind of mentioned that earlier about Facebook versus a blog.
Yeah.
Where would you post your content first?
So he's asking like where you'd post your content, if it was going to be on a blog or on your Facebook page. So right now what I'm doing is I'm building up my new Facebook page. I started a brand new Facebook page just to start from scratch, just to use this formula that we're talking about here, right? And so I'm creating all the content for the Facebook page. We actually, in the process as well of building a blog at the same time, would actually put articles there. And I would use those articles to lead people into getting into my newsletter. Right? So I think you can just post an article, right? And say, check out the article, and then boost that post on Facebook related to your article. I've seen other bloggers actually copy and paste their article right into the post itself without even linking to their blog as well. Because the whole point is you want people to read it, right? But if you're doing something on your blog that's helping you get conversions into sales, getting more newsletter, or you're retargeting, there's a lot of different benefits and reasons why you'd send people to your blog, right?